Welcome to the show, everyone. I got a bunch of newbies with me today. I'm so excited because I love when my newbies come on. They get really nervous and they make me nervous. But anyway, we're networking in here. You know, I made it possible for everybody to talk about themselves right on the radio. We're live on Facebook, so hi to everybody out there. Like us and follow us. We're going to be sharing the show in just a little bit, and so you can go ahead and follow and subscribe on my YouTube page too. You're going to check it out there. It's really fun to see all the videos there. I'm going to go in right with my first guest. He's Dr. Alan Molk, and he is a full-time physician. You are an emergency room physician. Thank you for that, number one. You're also the author of Saving Lives, Saving Dignity, a unique end-of-life perspective from two emergency physicians. Welcome to the show. Tell everybody a little tiny bit about yourself and what you do.
Thank you, Carol. Thank you for having me on the show. I'm actually the co-author of this book with my cousin, Dr. Robert Shapiro, who resides in California. He, too, is an emergency physician. Both of us have been doing this for over 40 years, so 80 plus years of experience, and we wrote the book based upon our own personal experiences as well as our professional and clinical experiences, both as human beings as emergency physicians, addressing the importance of approaching end of life and how to address this in a way that creates a dignified and humane end of life. Somewhat counterintuitive for emergency physicians because we are always
saving lives,
trained to save, exactly. But we've also learned that there are certain patients, certain individuals who are suffering and who may better off be served with treatments such as palliative and hospice care, rather than aggressive, futile care, for example, in the ICU.
Okay, I'm going to ask you about that. I just told you before you came on, I have a friend of mine that's passing away right now in that situation. I'm sure that him and his wife might have had that in that room, you know, what should we do type of thing. Is that what we're talking about when, or you talk about anyone getting near? Is it somebody who has to make that choice, or it's somebody who, or both, it might be both, who is coming to the near of their end of their lives when they're old and what have you? Who is it that's reading it?
Well, everyone should read this book.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is because whether we like it or not, life as we know it on earth has a beginning and a middle and an end. And we are all very happy to talk about the beginning, births of our children, the middle, which is all the wonderful other things we do during our lives, but most people are reluctant and uncomfortable to talk about end of life. It's not an easy topic. It's difficult, it can be painful, it can be awkward, but having the conversation about your wishes at end of life is crucial. It's very important. We address this in the book big time, and I can tell you I learned a lot personally from my own journey with my late mother, who had Alzheimer's disease. It was an amazing learning experience for me, a very painful one, but I vowed to myself that her suffering with a 6-year downward spiral of Alzheimer's wouldn't be in vain, and that prompted me to write this book initially from a perspective of just
self-healing, but also self-helping, it sounds.
Exactly. And so I joined forces with my cousin, Dr. Shapiro, who also has an identical and very similar passion to mine, and so the book came to be.
Well, I thank you for it, because you know what? So many people put their heads in the sand with this, and I am saying this because I believe that my father, he was one of them, wasn't easy to talk about that part. It was like, oh, you want to talk about my money? You know, it's not about the money. It's about you as a person. What do you want? And here's somebody firsthand. He's an emergency room physician right now, currently.
Correct.
And you deal with this on a daily basis. And so he knows how important it is, and he wrote the book to help people understand that. This is how I'm hearing it.
Absolutely.
And we're going to open up the lines of the audience. I wish you were on for a lot longer, but that's okay. We are going to open up the lines of the audience so that people can call in and get entered into win. You've got two of these books that we're giving away today. So our number here is 602-277-5369, and toll free it's 1-866-536-1100. This book is for everyone to read. Anyone. It doesn't matter, because anyone, it can happen to anybody at any time. We don't think of it that way, but it can. The book is called Saving Lives, Saving Dignity. It's a unique end-of-life perspective from 2 emergency physicians. You can get the book on his website. It's at savingdignity.com, but also you can go to Amazon and get it there as well. But you can call in here. We got 2 people that are going to be winners, and the number here is 602-277-5369, and toll free it's 1-866-536-1100. And I'm going to let everyone call throughout the rest of the show for it, so you can keep on calling in. I got to ask you, what makes this book so unique? Besides you, that you wrote it because you're firsthand here. Go ahead.
Well, it makes it unique in the sense that there are many similar books out on this topic, and they're all excellent books. This one's somewhat unique because it is somewhat counterintuitive, as I think we mentioned a little earlier, for emergency physicians to have to address this, because normally we are busy saving lives. That's what we train to do. You know, that's in our blood, that's in our makeup. And then we encounter patients on a daily basis, where you don't need a medical degree to look at these unfortunate patients. And you can be a layperson and say, oh my goodness, this person looks like they have, you know, one foot in the grave and the other on a banana peel. They look so bad. And they usually have multiple serious medical problems, most of which are not salvageable, most of which are advanced. It could be anything from Alzheimer's to stage 4 cancer to ALS, to end-stage congestive heart failure, end-stage emphysema. There are a whole slew of medical conditions that would meet the description of end of life, and who would absolutely benefit from having a palliative care or hospice consultation, just to talk, just to have a conversation.
So what you're saying, though, this is something, though, that once they're in that state, that's going to be the harder, conversation, because,
Yes.
we don't know how far along they are. But what I'm hearing you say is, talk about this early, know about it, understand it, because it can, maybe you already have somebody in there that's in the early stages, correct?
Absolutely. Have the conversation when you're still healthy. Have the conversation with your family, with your spouse, with your physician, with your religious or spiritual leader, and talk to your lawyer, and have advanced directives, have a medical surrogate, have a plan.
Have a plan. I love what you're saying here, and you can check him out on his website. It's savingdignity.com. You can also call in here, get entered in to win. Our number here, 602-277-5369, and toll free it's 1-866-536-1100. Saving lives, saving dignity, a unique end of life perspective from 2 emergency physicians. We only have about a minute or so I want to ask you quickly.
Sure.
Just talk a tiny bit about, palliative and hospice quickly, of what those are.
Certainly. These are both services that are available. These are real entities that help patients and their families navigate serious life-limiting conditions. For example, we just mentioned some of these a little earlier, where patients may still be getting active treatment, but we don't know how well they're going to do. We know that probably they're not going to do well,
Right.
and we know that some of them will truly have less than 6 months to live. And those 6 months less to live, hospice is a wonderful, humane,
My friend has it now. It's awesome. They're awesome.
I've really heard of anyone say that they had a negative experience with hospice.
We're going to have to go because, like I said, we wish we could be here longer. Let me say this to everybody out there. Obviously, we never know when something's going to happen to us. The earlier that you can read this book, the better, to understand what your options are, and that's why they wrote it as well, to make it understandable, but also for the persons that don't wait. Don't put your heads in the sand, and don't wait till it's too late. That's also the case. Call in here, our number here, 602-277-5369. Hold on, let me turn this off.